All right, guys, welcome back to Downtown Rams. As always, I'm Alexis Kraft, joined here with my co-host Jake Ellenbogen, and we are coming to you to preview our Los Angeles Rams matchup against the San Francisco 49ers this Sunday at SoFi Stadium. Coming off of a week, Jake, that we would like to forget in week two. The Rams game against the Cardinals. We're just gonna move on from that. We already discussed that
Burying it six
on the
feet
last.
under.
Yeah, just gonna erase it from our mind. I've been doing meditations, saging my house, looking up,
The chakra
effective
crystals, you try those?
trying everything. I'm gonna go
Yeah,
see a hypnotist. I'm gonna
there you
try
go.
some hard drugs. I'm
Oh,
going
whoa, whoa,
to
whoa, hold on a
nope,
second.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding, not hard drugs. Not any drugs. Totally kidding. But whatever I have to do to erase that game from my memory, I'll do it. So if anyone has any suggestions, feel free to comment below. But we're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to talk about our upcoming matchup against the San Francisco 49ers. And Jake, the Rams, it's no secret we're injury ridden. I mean, just simply put, the Rams are a very banged up football team. I'm pulling up the injury report right now, actually, because Jake and I are recording this. I think one just probably dropped.
Yeah, I think so. I know. Well, they might not have a kicker. I mean, they'll have Tanner Brown. I don't know how excited you are about that, but
yeah, I totally just thought I had it, and then it was an old injury report. They've had to come out with a new one.
yeah. No, Bobby Brown. It's pretty much the same thing as Wednesday. So Bobby Brown, and I probably should have reached out to him to see if he's okay. I'll probably do that after. But I mean, Sean McVay said he was okay. He's questionable. It could have been bad, but sounded like he's okay. Tre'Davious White did not practice today due to rest. Kevin Dotson, full participant. That's great. Kobe Durant, limited participant with a toe. That's questionable. I think he plays. Cooper Kupp has been ruled out, did not practice. Good. He should be wrapped in bubble wrap. Okay. If he's not on the IR, shouldn't even be out there. Davis Allen did not practice. He is out. That's 2 weeks. I almost wonder if they really wanted to place him on IR, but they're running out of spots, so they decided not to. And Joshua Carty, limited. Sean McVay is going to see if he can go. If not, it will be Tanner Brown. Right from the horse's mouth. So I don't think it's that bad. I mean, it's not that bad because they already put guys on IR. So let me make that very clear. But if you have guys that are ruled out, obviously we knew Kupp wasn't going to play. But like Davis Allen, yeah, it takes away maybe some of the structures you want to implement in this game. But at the same time, Colby Parkinson's got to step up. That was a really bad performance against the Cardinals. And I was so convinced he was going to have a good game. So this week, I still don't think he's going to have a great game because he's got a lot of tough, matchups there, especially Fred Warner. But I'm curious because I think going into this game, Alexis, there's a lot of value. There's a lot to take away from it, whether they win or lose. This is really good stuff early on the season for a guy like Jordan Whittington, for a guy like Tutu Atwell, who seems like he's getting phased out of this offense all of a sudden. So I'm excited for these guys. I'm excited for Corum. I'm excited for Kyron to get back on the high side. That's how I feel.
Well,
I mean,
let's also talk about the 49ers injury report, because that is, I think a big key to this game. As fortunate as it sounds, you got to look at the health of your opponent, and it does help when your opponent is going to be missing some people, although we never want to see injuries, but it's worth noting. George Kittle has a hamstring injury. He did not practice. He is not expected to play on Sunday. Doubtful. So that's something, to look out for, because he's a massive weapon for the 49ers.
Absolutely.
Charvarius Ward, hamstring/knee. Sounds like double injury there. Did not practice. He is also doubtful. That's massive. We know that Ward's
doubtful.
Talented. That's what I'm seeing, but for whatever reason,
I have questionable here.
He did not practice. Oh, questionable. Okay.
Yeah, limited participant with a hamstring and a knee.
So you got hamstring and knee. You're probably looking at a more updated version than I am. So
yeah, I'm not trying to one up you.
Well, no. Well, I think the version that I pulled is not as of the past couple of hours.
Little did she know it's for week 2 of last year.
Could you imagine? They just all happen to have the same injury.
You start like rattling off. Yeah, you know,
I'll let you.
Stetson Bennett is out. Oh wait, that was last year.
Well, I'll let you keep reading because I was pulling up. I went to Jordan Rodriguez's page.
Okay.
So
Nick Bosa is questionable with a rib injury. I've been looking at that, and I'll be honest with you. There's enough guys out already for me to feel somewhat comfortable that the Rams can make this a close game. Winning it is a completely different battle, but this isn't going to be a blowout. I know there are a lot of 49er fans who are chomping at the bit a get-right game. I watched all of the Vikings 49ers game. I'll tell you right now, that had a chance to turn into what the Cardinals did to the Rams. The Vikings had some fluke plays go the opposite way in the red zone. There were 3 plays that could have made it so the 49ers won the game. There were 3 plays that could have made it so it was like a 24-point game on the Viking side. So it's interesting. 49ers are coming in this game not playing their best football after looking really good against the Jets in week 1. And I think too many people are just going into this like, yeah, 49ers have this, game's over and everything. And I understand that. I understand feeling that way. And they are going to get Hufanga back, who they haven't had since November of last year. So he's going to play in this game. But no Debo. And Brock Purdy averages 1.2 interceptions per game in the 5 games without Debo Samuel. He's thrown an interception in 4 of those 5 games. He's thrown multiple interceptions in 2 of those games. And I'm going to get the exact percentage because I do my homework, Alexis. You know this. The exact percentage, 37% of Brock Purdy's picks have been in games without Debo Samuel. Very interesting. So,
so break that down.
That's got big.
An offense. Well, it is. And you look at an offense that is now without Debo Samuel, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey, who's on IR.
They won't miss Christian McCaffrey in this game because Jordan Mason is leading the league.
Jordan Mason is very good, but he's still,
tackles.
I mean,
McCaffrey
also. Well, right, but McCaffrey is still very insane against the Rams.
And absolutely. But I'm not jumping for joy having to go up against Jordan Mason. Not at all.
So then, regardless, Debo Samuel and George Kittle out. That offense essentially, and I like Juwan Jennings. I actually won a lot of money on him.
Oh, I did too. He paid for my putter
Super Bowl last year. But so you basically got Juwan Jennings and Brandon Ayuk, who that's and Jordan Mason, who, like you mentioned, and looking at what the Rams run defense did against the Cardinals could be a problem. So let's start there, Jake. Let's talk about this 49ers offense going against this Rams defense. And as we talked about last episode, the Rams defense was absolutely putrid last week. There's no excuse. Yes, we had all the injuries on offense, but the defense just from the get-go was absolutely awful against Arizona. So they need to, I think, just to quite literally win the game, but I think also win back kind of a lot of the, maybe support isn't the right word, but enthusiasm from the Rams fan base. This defense needs to step up against the 49ers, and they need to do it off the bat. So, Jake, you mentioned Jordan Mason.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, what I want to see from this Rams defense, first and foremost, I want to see them show up. Okay, I want to see them come out and actually just show up, play with a fire, at the gate. But 2, I really want to see them step up on run defense. I really want to see them at least attempt to lock that down right off the gate because, like you mentioned, the statistics about Purdy, you mentioned, the receiving threats and Samuel and Kittle gone, what they can do. I think that the 49ers might really try to push this run game with Jordan Mason, especially seeing what happened last week when we played Arizona.
Brock Purdy didn't look good last week. So
he didn't look good, but I also mean, like, the 49ers are going to be aware of what our defense did against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to come out, and their first plan of attack is probably going to be in the ground. What do you think?
Oh, I agree. And excellent point. They lead the league in missed tackles right now. And they're going up against the guy who leads the league of all running backs in broken tackles. That's not a good combination. It doesn't go together very well. That is a problem. I wouldn't be surprised if they ran the ball 30 freaking times with Jordan Mason, because he is a freight train and he's got the speed that can be a problem in this game. And Kyle has gone run heavy against the Rams in the past, but he doesn't have Deebo Samuel. So he can't run 40 times. He might be able to run 30. I went on, I did a show with Grant Cohn earlier today, and he had a great point because I brought this up and I asked him, I was like, do you see this being a 30-plus carry game for Jordan Mason? Just kind of using him, throwing him away. Christian McCaffrey will be back. Who cares? It matters. Christian McCaffrey has a serious injury. They don't know when he'll be back. There's a chance that they might have to ride out most of the season with Jordan Mason. So that's Kyle Shanahan. Like, yeah, you want to beat the Rams and you want to shove it in Sean McVay's face because he's your friend. And, you know, we love being competitive with our friends. Like when I wanted to beat you in NBA 2K when we had that thing going on during COVID, that's just how it is with friends. But the reality of it is you have to have a balance. Isaac Guerrero, he's not masquerading as anything other than he is a rookie. You're not going to mistake him for Barry Sanders. He's not ready. Okay? He missed one read as a running back and got benched. They don't believe in him. Not right now. He's a long-term asset. And Patrick Taylor Jr.? No. This is the Jordan Mason show. But now you have to find a way to do it in a way that keeps his health in mind for the foreseeable future. Because if he goes down, like Grant told me, they're done. They are in trouble. No running back. We don't know when Christian McCaffrey's coming back. That's a big deal. So it's an interesting thing, Alexis, because they have to manage Mason's carries. But Mason might also be the way to win this game because he keeps Brock Purdy out of harm's way. And you might not even be aware of this because I don't think a lot of people are. You also might be. I don't want to sell you short. You're very knowledgeable. But the Rams out-pressured the 49ers in the first two games of the season. They have 27 pressures to the 49ers, 23. So that is something I took away on tape. When you're watching that Cardinals game, not a lot to like. One thing I liked, and I understand people are going to say, bring down Kyler. A lot easier said than done. The guy is pretty strong for being very small. People don't think about that. But Kyler Murray is also wicked athletic. Can break your ankles in 2 seconds. And I was encouraged, if I take anything away from that game, I was encouraged by what I saw out of Kobe Turner, 5 pressures in that game. Jared Verse adding another 3 to his resume this year. I think he had 6 in the first game against Taylor Decker. Went up against Paris Johnson this time around. Looked good. Well, now he's going up against Trent Silverback Williams, who is the best left tackle in all of football. However, Trent Williams did not have an offseason. It was his choice, but he did not really do anything in the offseason, right? He wasn't in training camp. He didn't have that rev-up process. He's just kind of figuring it out. And he's good enough to do that, but is he 100% Trent Williams at his best? No. I think this is an opportunity, Alexis. If they could put some pressure on Brock Purdy, they're not going to be able to run it with Mason every single play. Brock Purdy is going to have to do something. Did not throw a touchdown pass against the Rams last year in week 2. Has only faced them once. He ran for a touchdown at the end of the first half. But they did a really nice job, I thought, managing Brock Purdy. And to be fair, Brandon Ayuk went out in that game. But Deebo Samuel and George Kittle have been Ram killers. And not having either of those, this game becomes very intriguing. I will say that. And for a young defense that we said, we talked about this before the season. I was like, this team is going to be opportunistic. If they're top 16, that's all they have to be, and they'll win the Super Bowl with a top 3 offense, health permitting. So I like the defensive front for sure. I think if they can stop Jordan Mason, that's a huge pathway to victory. But Alexis, I'm going to say this right now. You'll know if the Rams are going to win this game because if they turn the ball over, like if they force some takeaways on Brock Purdy, that's how they completely change this game. That's how they take over. And they have enough where now all of a sudden okay, Stafford's not throwing to Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, but now you have guys on the other side that Demarcus Robinson came up big down the stretch, and you got Colby Parkinson, and you got Tutu Atwell who can take the top off the defense, and Jordan Whittington. We'll get into that further. But my point is, if the defense can feed the offense better field position, steal some possessions, there's a really good chance the Rams can pull off this upset. But they have to be able, to your point, they can't be the defense that we saw last week. They just cannot be that.
They can't. And I think that starts with efficiently shutting down the run game. I think that's got to be the first goal, because I do think that's where the 49ers are going to go.
Absolutely.
You're able to effectively stall that. They're going to be forced to put the ball in Purdy's hands and see what he can do with Ayuk and Jennings and under pressure, hopefully from the defensive front. So I think we're on the same page there about what this defense needs to do in order to successfully stop down the 49ers.
And not a great offensive line either. Aaron Banks is solid, right? Trent Williams is great, but he's not the 100% Trent Williams. Dominic Pooney, love Dominic Pooney. Kansas, been really good for them. McKivitz is a problem for them. He gave up 7 pressures, okay, in one game. Jake Brendel is terrible. I'm not even going to mince words on that. There's not one 49er fan that has ever given him any credit. They don't even know why he is still there. So much so, they're talking about John Feliciano. I don't even remember him playing center. They're excited for him to come off the IR and be the center. So it's not good there. And last thing I want to bring up here before we move on, because I know you want to move to the offense. Alexis, I don't think Okello is going to play this week. That's concerning, because I'm going to say something that maybe some people disagree with. Tre'Davious White doesn't look good at all. He is not a boundary corner at this point in his career. He's a big name who they're hoping to get big production out of. And the reality is he's playing off of Kobe Durant. Don't get it twisted. It's not the other way around. Durant has been insane. He's been great. Absolutely great. But Trey White, I think he's given up now 3 touchdowns. At least he's been part of those 3 touchdowns. I have concerns about Trey White. And Trey White is likely going to be on Ayuk. And that's concerning to me, because Trey White was on Marvin Harrison Jr. Look what he did. Trey White was on Jameson Williams. Look what he did. And I understand he's coming off a torn Achilles and he's had a torn ACL in the past. But you chose Tre'Davious White, who was out of your building, who the Bills drafted, and they said they didn't want him back. You chose him over Okello Witherspoon, who now you are seeing in 18 games last year, played every single game, even banged up, Alexis. And people did not give him enough credit for having that durability, to having the toughness, because he was not healthy at the end of the year. He was playing with a bad groin. That is not talked about, Alexis. I wanted to bring that up because we are now seeing, we're being reminded, in case you forgot about 2022, it's hard to stay healthy and play at a high level in the NFL. Okello is your number 1 corner and played every single game, including the playoff game, and played almost every game at a high level until he got hurt. And you went with a guy who's coming off a torn Achilles over him? And I know Okello is on the practice squad, but I bring it up because it doesn't seem like he's going to get activated for Sunday. And I think that is a huge mistake. I think it is a big, big mistake. And I'm concerned that will lead to them losing him because there's going to be other teams around the league. I know the Colts need him. The Ravens need him. There's a lot of bad corner rooms. He might not be a Ram much longer. And that's a concerning thing. So I think that's a mistake. And, I'm hoping the 49ers don't just take him to town on that, because they got guys that we didn't really touch on, but Jacob Cowing, I think this could be a Jacob Cowing game. I think Jawan Jennings, who we mentioned, Jawan Jennings is a really good receiver. Does everything you want. Super underrated. I have concerns. I will say this, though. Defense is going to have a little bit of an easier time. George Kittle's out. Eric Saubert and Jake Tungus, they're not even going to incorporate those guys in the offense. So losing George Kittle is like losing Sam Laporta if you're the Lions. It's like losing Travis Kelce if you're the Chiefs. That's a huge loss. You don't really have anybody to replace that. So, long spiel there, but you get my point.
I do. And, looking at our offense, right? And looking at, because we as well, have injuries, missing Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, most notably. So, our receiving core right now, guys, is Demarcus Robinson, Tyler Johnson, Jordan Whittington, and Tutu Atwell. So these guys who, when Kupp and Nacua are healthy, might not get as much action and might not get looked to as much, are going to really have to step up against San Francisco. I mean, next man up, it's that kind of league. So we're going to be looking at that with these receivers. Then obviously, we still have, Matthew Stafford at the helm, and then in the run game, Kyren Williams. But I'll say this about the run game of Jake going against the 49ers. I think based on where the Rams are right now and looking at how the first 2 games have gone, they really rely on Kyren Williams in pass protection, like very, very heavily. I don't think that's going to change against San Francisco. So if I'm the Rams, knowing, listen, there's, a running back on our roster that can do pass protection. That's Kyren. That's why he's in almost every snap, and you're not seeing so much of Ronnie Rivers and Blake Corum. I would maybe make this game like Blake Corum's coming out party. If I'm the Rams, I would throw Kyren Williams, or what do you,
roll the or what is it, the sirens? I don't want to hear a soul. I do not want to hear a soul going after Alexis Kraft about being a biased I combine the two. A biased Kyren fan after what she just said. I don't want to hear a soul say it. I will not stand for it. I will defend you. I'll defend you.
Well, period. Real ones know that
you like them both.
I like them both. I'm very fair. And I think that, again, because of what they're going to have to need, they need Kyren to do, in my opinion. I mean, he was blocking better than some of our guards last week. I mean, you have to have him out there blocking. Show some sets with 2 running backs. Put Kyren and Blake Corum in there.
Yes.
If the Rams do that, that is going to be very confusing for the 49ers, because you already know what Kyren Williams is. You know that he does everything. It's already confusing for teams when Kyren Williams goes out there, because you have to wonder, is he blocking? Is he running the ball? He's used more and more in the receiving game. And he's able to do all that efficiently. So you already have that problem when you put him out there. Put out Blake Corum. Who are they going to go to? Get creative with it, because I really think that the Rams could find some success doing that. I also think they're going to need to, because I don't think you can keep having Kyren do what he's done the first 2 games the rest of the season. You're just not. I mean, he's had a very heavy workload, and I think that the Rams really need to get creative. And you spent a 3rd-round pick on Blake Corum.
Absolutely.
If you're not going to use them, and that pick was already, for many, including myself, very questionable at the time.
Agreed.
If the longer that you go showing us that you really don't want to use them that much, then that makes it even more concerning, right? So 2 games have gone. The only time we've seen Blake Corum is in garbage time when the Rams pulled all the starters. Let's see what he can do against San Francisco. Why not? I think it's time. And I think the Rams have a real shot if they can do that. And you get to maybe have Kyren out there as a decoy, pass blocking, and then have Blake running the ball. We'll see. I just, my 2 cents on the running situation. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I mean, I'd like to see them both on the field at the same time. I think they both could be utilized as slot guys. I think the pass catching ability of Kyren, and I've been, because I try to be objective, I try to be fair. I love Kyren, but I have definitely been more like, I want to see more in the receiving game, but I'm convinced it's not Kyren. I don't like the way they utilize him. He's basically this dump off option. I mean, that's really what he is, for lack of a better term.
And it's gotten him smacked with that offensive line too.
Oh, yes, it has.
Like 2 or 3 times already this season that they've used him as a dump off. I mean, nobody was protecting him. I mean, he got...
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's not gone well.
You're 100% right. What I'll say is this: when it comes to this offense, first off, the offensive line, you have Alec Jackson back to be fair, let's just understand something. Alec Jackson was suspended for something we have no idea what he did. We heard nothing from the NFL. But because he was suspended means he couldn't practice with the team. So he wasn't allowed to practice with the team until this week. Don't be surprised if he's a little on the, I would say, rusty side. I mean, I think it's justifiable. He was injured also. He was banged up in training camp. So I think it's definitely fair to give him a week. I mean, obviously he needs to play better than Warren McClendon Jr. breaking my heart last week and AJ Arcuri. He has to, right? He absolutely has to. Because if you give Stafford time and he doesn't have to worry about his blind side, he's going to pick you apart. He just needs to see the pressure coming. Any quarterback needs to. Because if you're Kyler Murray, if you even sense a fingertip that is grazing your jersey, you could just take off because you have the stop and start ability of a wide receiver at quarterback. But that's the thing. So Alec Jackson, to me, this is a big deal. Like we need to see this. Now, in addition to that, because he'll be going up against Bosa and Leonard Floyd will be going up against Rob Havenstein. And I think when they know Leonard Floyd well, Leonard Floyd knows them well. I think Havenstein was very underratedly good last week. Doesn't get enough credit. And obviously, I mean, you lose 41-10. No one's gonna be like, yeah, I need to give the right tackle a lot of credit. He came back and his worst seasons have been when he plays through an ankle. So that was really encouraging. Then you have Kevin Dotson. He is huge in the run game. He was the best run blocking guard according to PFF last year. So if they want to run the football, they're going to need to run to that right side, whether Leonard Floyd's there or not, because he's great against the run. Then you have center and left guard. And it's interesting. Bo Limmer playing in his third game now, his second start. I pretty much call it his third start. He pretty much started the first game. And left guard is Logan Bruss, who's never played left guard before. Never. So Logan Bruss has a chance to do the funniest thing. There were people calling for his head. There were people saying he's a bust, Logan bust. They were saying they wanted to go after the scout that jumped in the pool over him. They wanted to trade him because you know how fans will be like, yeah, let's trade this guy. Who's trading for this guy? No one is trading for Logan Bruss because he hasn't proven anything. Alexis, he's never started in an NFL game. His rookie year, he tears his ACL in the preseason. I know because I was in a movie and I came out and saw that. I was distraught. But I believe in Logan Bruss. I think we're going to see a decent performance out of him. Not amazing, but decent enough where Stafford has enough time to throw the ball around the yard. I'm not going to say all over the yard. He doesn't have Cooper Kupp being 3 car lengths wide open. But at the same time, he's got guys like Atwell that will stretch the field. He's got guys I think this is the Jordan Whittington game, Alexis. This is 88 problems. It's going to happen. I'm saying it. Jordan Whittington, 1,000%. This is his time to shine. Now, I'm not saying Atwell won't either. He had 7 catches for 77 yards on 9 targets the last time these two faced. But I know we're going to go into the predictions and right now pretty much, but number 88, Jordan Whittington, okay? I think he's going to be in for a big game. I really believe it. Good sign of that he's going to be at least included because Rams, I see what you're doing. I love JB Long. I see what you guys are doing. You put him on Rams Revealed. This is a PR play. You're trying to get people knowing about this guy before he goes off and kills it, right? So I'm not stupid, but also I made a really bold statement and I stood by it. I didn't say it in a way that was just for shock value. I truly believed it. Alexis, you remember when I brought up random Jordan Whittington when we were doing our mock drafts? Randomly. And I was like, I think this guy is going to be a Ram. I think he's exactly what they look for. They'll draft a guy in the 6th, 7th round. That'll be that. But you know what I said? And I said on multiple shows, he is the only receiver that I look at in this entire draft and say, if you're looking for the next Puka Nacua, it is him. And that was before the Rams drafted him. I think he can be that. I'm not saying he'll be Puka Nacua 2.0, but if he comes out, has 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, I will be the least shocked person. I will be less shocked than his family. I have been saying this for a while. I think this is his time to shine. He's got Matthew Stafford. There is a common denominator here, and Matthew Stafford likes breaking records. He just does. So I'm not doubting Matthew Stafford. If he has time to throw, like I believe he will, and like I said, this pass rush isn't as good as the Rams pass rush so far through 2 games, I think this is going to go in his favor. And I think Whittington, the separation skills, the ability to stay on the field because he's a good blocker, the ability to be a gadget guy. They called him like mini Debo in camp. There's so many things to like about Whittington. And what he did in the preseason, that was translatable. We saw a little bit of that, him scoring his first touchdown, Arcuri wiping it away. Then we saw it last week in garbage time, albeit. But that 22-yard catch, I think this is his game. I really do. I think he is way beyond what people think because they look at him as a rookie. He's a very experienced rookie. And if you don't know him or didn't know him, it's not because he wasn't talented, 5-star recruit, crazy athleticism. It's because he was playing behind Adonai Mitchell, Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Brooks, right? Roshan Johnson, and Jatavion Sanders. Oh, and Mr. Fastest Man in the NFL, Xavier Worthy. That is why, if you are just now hearing about Jordan Whittington and you've been living under a rock, that is why.
Well, I was about to bring up predictions, and per usual, I'm gonna give the floor to you first.
I'll just say, and I can only
imagine what the first player involved in your prediction is going to be.
This is a perfect opportunity for me to just say Tyler Johnson, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Fooled you, but I'm not going to do that. I really believe in Whittington. I'm locking it in.
So Whittington, 2 touchdowns, 110 yards?
100 yards. Because if he gets 100 and someone holds me to 110, I'm not dealing with it. I don't want to hear it. So 102 touchdowns. I'm going to say this one's tough. All right. They're gonna be tricky in this one. They are. They really are. But I think Tutu Atwell matches what he did last year, going over 70 receiving yards. Now, that might not seem like a bold prediction, but it is, considering the fact that guy barely has gotten any snaps. So I think he comes out of nowhere and has 70-plus receiving yards. I think those two are the leading receivers, which will shock people because everyone's scrambling to pick up Tyler Johnson, picking up the wrong guy. I'm just telling you that right now. He had 1 catch for 63 yards. I've gotten off that step stool. I'm aware that was fool's gold. Not a bad receiver, but he's not getting those opportunities. And I think Demarcus Robinson's going to get mobbed because they saw it. Demarcus Robinson is the only one who has recent tape of success down the stretch last year. 49ers are aware of that. Diamador Lenore is going to be a problem. He's turned into a really good corner. I don't know if Ward will play. They'll use Renardo Green as well. So we'll see what ends up happening. But Isaac Yiadom, who I like way more than most 49er fans. But that's how I see it. I think those will be the two leading receivers. And the last thing I'll say, because it has to be defensive. You ready for this? This is going to be a little bit of a shock. This might surprise people. Trent Williams isn't quite Trent Williams. And Jared Verse is going to show out in this game. He's going to have 2 sacks against Trent Silverback Williams. And he is going to prove that he should have been drafted, not in the top 10, but actually the top 5 in this draft. I think the Rams might have something special. And I'm not going to sit here and act like, I liked Jared Verse. He played in my backyard before he transferred to FSU. Not literally. But I liked Jared Verse. You know that. You wanted Jared Verse at 19. You know who I wanted. I wanted Chop. So I'm not going to sit here and do this whole revisionist history thing. I'm going to own my mistake. Not mistake. I think Chop will be really good. But Verse, what he adds all around as a player, I think Verse gets 2 sacks. And I think that is affirming that he is potentially going to be an elite game changer, playmaker, and they drafted 2 guys to replace Aaron Donald, but having him is going to be really good for the long term. I think he's already surpassed Byron Young. I've already seen it. I think he's that good. So that's where I stand on that.
Well, like you mentioned, I wanted the Rams to draft him. He was also my #1 edge in the class. So
he was. I had to give you your props.
I'm very high on Jared Verse and like him a lot. So my prediction, my first one, starting off in the defense, was Jared Verse 2 sacks. To the shock of
I think you should just lock it in.
But yeah, I really think he's going to have a good game, and I think he's had a really good first 2 games. He had a really good second game. The only problem, he had that he's going to obviously have to work on in a second game is just closing out tackles. But our entire defense seemed to have that problem against the Cardinals, so I hope that everyone has figured that out going into this week. But I think, I think Jared Verse is going to have a big game. I'm going to say Jared Verse 2 sacks on Purdy. Second prediction, I think we're going to see a Tutu Atwell touchdown. I do, and I think it's going to be a bomb. I think that I don't know that he's going to put up the most yards or be between all the receivers or even have that many receptions, but I think that he will be used for that purpose. I think they're going to do a deep touchdown to Tutu Atwell. Third prediction is I think we're going to see a Blake Corum touchdown.
I came close to saying that, but I had a feeling you were going to say that, so I stayed away.
Well, I really think that because I really think the Rams need to start getting him involved. I think it's time. Again, it's not like he was a 6th or 7th round pick. I mean, this was a 3rd round pick that you made this past draft, and I think that it's time to start showing why. It can't just be, oh, well, we want him to back up Kyren. That's a little high for just simply a backup, right? So I think they need to start getting him involved. And I also think that they'll have the opportunity to do that because I think Kyren is going to be doing what we talked about earlier, a lot of other stuff. And he also, maybe they'll start decoying him because of that and use Blake. But I don't know. I feel good about it. I would throw money, too, down on a Blake Corum anytime touchdown. So those are my 3 predictions. Those are your 3 predictions, Jake. And we totally skipped over the score prediction, which we actually usually do first.
It worked out because
it worked out with the natural flow of the conversation.
Yeah, the player predictions were way better than the score predictions. I think you kind of know where we're going, guys. I mean, if you've been seeing me on this channel, I've been very consistent. I think the 49ers win. Now, it doesn't mean the Rams can't win, but I'm not in the business of they can, they can't. You're asking me for a prediction. I'm going to be, and for those people out there that called me a homer, eat a boot, because I'm telling you right now, the Rams can prove me wrong and I'll be happy, but I feel like it's almost irresponsible for me to get your hopes up to act like the Rams are going to win this game. They can win this game. They absolutely can. But to act like they are going to. I made the mistake. I'll admit, last week, I guaranteed a win over the Cardinals, and they lost by 31 points. So not even close to a win. Like, literally the exact opposite. Never doing that again. I have to be better. I take full responsibility for that. And I have 20-17 49ers, but don't be surprised if the Rams pull it out. I'm not picking it, though.
I have 24-17 49ers. So very similar boat that we are in, Jake, unfortunately. I hope it's a sinking one. And I hope that we are wrong.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I mean, the goal of the predictions is we try to see how close to right we can get it, and it's to be honest. So, I know that there's a lot of people that get very, very angry, especially when it's against the 49ers, that Jake and I don't pick the Rams. They call us awful things on Twitter. They get very, very angry, say, how
I almost always pick
the
Rams. They make it easy. They have had a great team, and since Sean McVay joined in 2017, but Alexis, there's too many injuries. And
yeah, it's just
if
not
Kello Witherspoon was activated, I might feel a little bit better, but I still don't know if I would pick him. They need him on Sunday, though. I'm not getting off that train. And miss me with the whole, oh, you got the 44 in the back, you're biased. No, I'm smart. I know who's the better corner. It's not even close. But anyway.
Well, we both, unfortunately, are picking the 49ers by
yes,
somewhat small margin. Hope to God that we're both wrong and that the Rams come out and just have an absolutely incredible game and do all the right things. And that's what we will be hoping and cheering for, because like Jake said, they certainly can win this game. It's just up to them, to do it. But guys, that's going to do it for us. Until next time, I am Alexis Craft at the Alexis Craft on Twitter. He is Jake Ellenbogen at JK Bogan on Twitter. We will be back Monday night to recap this game against the 49ers. But until then, as always, like and subscribe. You can follow us on social media at Downtown Rams. Guys, we will be back soon. But until next time, stay safe, take care, and go Rams.